like I'm making some grand entrance, right? No, your eyes do not deceive you. It is me. It is Pen Gangsta back to talk about pens. I mean, what else would I talk about? I mean, it's been a while. It's been over a year. And if you guys have been keeping up with me, of course, I'm on Instagram all the time. And of course, twice a month lately, I've been with Lori. You might know her at Time with Tata. And we've been doing Juicy Broads and putting a lot of time into that. So it's been a lot of fun. It has. But as it turns out, people miss my videos. Who would have thought, right? I think it's very sweet that they are missed. And, you know, for a time, I enjoyed making my pen videos. Unfortunately, there comes a time after doing so many for so long, you get burned out. And I got burned out. And so I took what was going to be like a month or 2 months, ended up being 3 months, 6 months, a year. But I'm back and it's all good. But today I'm going to talk about something that is kind of a hot topic. I mean, is there really, hot topic in the pen world? Well, I guess there is. I'm specifically talking about a pen dupe or pen dupes based on the Pilot Vanishing Point, or also known as the Pilot capless pen. So yeah, there are some dupes out there. If you follow my Instagram, I've been posting what I bought. In fact, I'll show you what I have in this little folio. I love this folio. Yes, I have a microphone now. It was a Christmas present that I procrastinated with until yesterday. Yeah, I've had this mic for a few months now, and I just haven't put the time into setting it up, and it took me like 10 minutes to set up. So anyway, to the pens in this beautiful Galen leather case. This is where I've been keeping my Jinhao 10s. Yeah, I've got lots of colors here. Actually, this one right here, that's a Pilot. But the rest are Jinhao 10s. And I'll admit it, I've got 2 more on the way. I've been buying them through, the first ones were bought through Amazon, and then I bought some more from AliExpress where the prices were a bit more inexpensive, and they come directly from China. I know they're Chinese pens. They come directly from China. Take about a week from ordering it to get to you, so it's really not that long to wait. But yes, so that's what I'm going to discuss today is the Pilot Vanishing Point versus the Jinhao 10 versus the Majohn A1, formerly known as Moon Man. So that's what I have right here. So here is the Pilot. Of course, I'm wearing black and it's going to blend right into my dress, isn't it? So I need to find something that... what do I have around here? Something that I can put behind the pen so you can see them. I should have wore a white shirt. I hardly ever wear white. Here, we'll use one of these. I could show you a piece of artwork. This was on Instagram. That's a nice little ink drawing. So I'll use this as my background for now until we start discussion. So here is the Pilot Vanishing Point. You see this is the matte black. And I think it's very good looking. I do. I've actually been wanting this pen for a little while. I like the color black, if you consider black to be a color. But I do like black. So there's that one. Actually, what if I just hold it in front of my face? Because this is going to get, my hands are going to get full, and I'm not going to feel like holding up these pens. All right, so here is the first dupe. This is the Jinhao 10. Oh, it's got something on it. So this is the Jinhao 10. So next to each other, they look pretty close. They do. And the only difference is that you can tell right off the bat is the clip. The clips are different. So you might notice that the Jinhao clip has a little bit of a curve to it, and not the Jinhao, the Pilot clip has a bit of a curve to it, and then the Jinhao is just a straight clip. Also, you might notice that the Jinhao logo is on the clip, whereas the Pilot Vanishing Point, it is on the back of the pen. So those are two differences there. Otherwise, what's crazy is that they are very close. I have examined these pens extensively, and the clicking mechanisms are very similar. This little area where the trap door is at, very, very similar. The clicking sounds here, are they alike? Let's see. Very similar. I mean, it's a clicking sound, whatever. All right, and the third pen I have to show you is a Majohn A1. Now, for the Majohn, I'm trying to make it sound fancy. Majohn. I got the striped one because I already have two solid black pens now. Why do I need another one? So this is the Majohn. And now let's put the Majohn next to the Pilot Vanishing Point. And right off the bat, what did I notice? The clips. Basically the same. Has that little curve in it. Majohn isn't branded. It has no brand on it at all. Way that you could tell the difference between the two pens, if you look at the center areas where the barrel threads together, you might notice that Pilot has like two bands and the Majohn has kind of a textured band. So there is a difference between those two, and then all three together. So we'll add the Jinhao back. So we have the Pilot, Jinhao, Majohn. Yeah, so there are a lot of people out there who, including myself, I think retractable pens are cool. I do. I like the clicky sound. I love the convenience of not having to remove a cap to write with it. This is a design that's been around since 1963. Pilot had designed it for the 1964 Tokyo Olympics. So it's a very classic design. It's reflective of the time. So let's look at the Pilot while I talk about it. So 1963, that's an era of, John F. Kennedy, beatnik poetry, mod fashion. And so in a way, this is kind of reflective of that era. There's something kind of simplistic and beautiful about this pen. But since 1964, since the release of the Vanishing Point capless pen, it's retained its popularity. It is still highly, highly popular today. So much so that there are dupe pens made of it. And they say what imitation is the highest form of flattery. So I don't know if Pilot should be flattered or insulted. I would personally be flattered. I think it would be very cool. So before you start hating on these dupe pens and start saying things like there's an infringement on the patent, there's not. In fact, this patent expired in the 1980s. So it's actually fair game for these dupes to appear. So don't start hating on. Just know that patent is now public domain. So anyone can create a capless pen version of their own. So that being said, there are differences and similarities between these pens, as I just pointed out already, but they are very fun. Now, one of the big differences and why people tend to go towards dupe pens is what you might have guessed, the price. There's a huge price difference between all of these pens. So the Pilot Vanishing Point, this I picked up at Goldspot. For right now, for some reason, Pilot Vanishing Points in the United States, retailers are going for $176. They're usually $220, I believe. 176, and then why I got it at Goldspot, not all the other retailers will let you add a discount code to Pilot Pens, but Goldspot let me add, I think it was RITE, RITE 2025. So RITE 2025, and it took like 5% off. Hey man, that's taxes, right? I mean, that helps with the taxes. So that is why I went with Goldspot, because of the price. Speaking of price. So 176 plus tax. The Jinhao is the least expensive dupe. The Jinhao, you could find it on AliExpress for about between $13 and $20. And then on Amazon.com if you want your pen faster, because like I said, AliExpress takes about a week. Over at Amazon, especially if you have Prime, you can get it in 2 days, about 2 days. It roughly costs about between $17 to $20. So there is, I mean, it's not a huge price difference between the two retailers, but you know, if you want it faster, go with Amazon. If you don't care if it, you know, if you can wait about a week to get your pen, then AliExpress is obviously a good choice to go with. The Majohn is on Amazon. This is retailing between $35 and $37. Now this pen you might want to go to AliExpress for, because on AliExpress it is between $20 and $25. So there's about a $10 to $12 difference between AliExpress and Amazon. But like I said, if you prefer to have your pens faster because you're an impatient person, go with Amazon. Otherwise, you know, 1 week's time. But so really, the choice of pen, you know, if you want to get the Pilot, the Jinhao 10, or the Majohn, the price difference is what makes a difference in these decisions. So I got all three just because I'm kind of a pen whore. I love me some fountain pens. Don't judge me. I love them. I do. I had to have all three. I wanted to compare all of them. So yeah, it just honestly depends on what you want to spend on it. Now, one of the big questions I get a lot about these pens is, what is the difference when you write with them? And the only huge difference that I can identify is between the Pilot and the Majohn and Jinhao. So the Pilot, as you might know, you might not know, comes with an 18 karat gold nib. You have a lot of options between fine or extra fine to a stub. So you have extra fine, fine, medium, broad, stub nib. So you've got more choices. Nibs available for the Jinhao and the Majohn, extra fine and fine. That's it. That's all I've found. Unless someone else has found, you know, a medium, let me know. I prefer medium nib. So that's a difference right there. So the 18 karat gold nib is going to be a bit bouncier. You can feel it when you're writing. There's a little bit of give in that nib, and it's nice. It's very pleasant. But not everybody wants that. Some people actually prefer something that is, you know, especially for a pen, you know, like this, a nice retractable pen that you can keep in your pocket or keep in your purse or on your desk, and something you don't have to take the cap off. They want something that just writes. You know, it's not really all about the bouncy nib experience. So if that's what you want, the Majohn and the Jinhao write like nails. They do. But they are good writers. I'd have to say, this is really weird though, between the Majohn and the Jinhao writes better. They're the same. They're both fine stainless steel nibs, but the Jinhao writes better. I don't know why that is. But all the Jinhaos that I've gotten, and I mean, you saw them, I've got a few, They all write good. They do. And out of all of those pens, so this is a complaint that some people do have. I have two pens that tend to dry out. And so what I've done is I read somewhere if you take a little bit of silicone grease and you put it around like the outside of that trap door, it helps. And it actually has helped. So that's what I did. In fact, it's this Jinhao that tends to dry out on me a little bit. I've got a little bit of silicone grease around that trap door, which seems to help it not dry out as fast. I also take the pen out and test it. So I do that, and I've been doing it daily. I haven't done it today yet, so maybe I'll do that later. But if you want more of a nib choice, Pilot has that. If you don't care, you don't want to spend a lot of money, the Majohn and the Jinhao are pretty good considering the price. So, but yeah, what you might choose as an everyday carry might depend on your circumstances. I've gotten comments from people who have told me that they will go with the Majohn and the Jinhao instead of bringing the Pilot to work because they've had their fountain pen stolen before. Or I even had someone write to me and tell me that they've left their Vanishing point at work on their desk and they went out of town and someone at work ruined their pen. Oh my God. I would be so furious. I'd find out who it was and I'd hunt them down. Okay. But also, some people don't like to travel with their pricier pens and they prefer to travel with a less pricey pen. So that way, if you were to lose this pen, it's not going to hurt losing a $20 pen or a $30 pen versus losing a pen that costs $176 to $220, So there's that. So sometimes, that could hurt losing an expensive pen. So there is that. The build quality I have found on the dupe pens to be pretty good. They are pretty good. They are solid. And all parts between the pens, which is so crazy, they're interchangeable. I could take a Pilot nib, I could put it in a Majohn, I could put it in the Jinhao pen, and it functions like it should. I've taken off the Jinhao pieces and I have threaded them onto the Pilot pen. I mean, it's like the same design. It really is, all the way down to the threading. And so here, I'll just show you, for example. So let's take apart the Majohn and let's change this out. So I'm going to take this part, the clicky part of it, and I'm going to put it on the Jinhao. So let me take this off. This is just for example, just for illustration purposes. So here you go. Now it doesn't go down all the way because the Majohn has that single band between its pieces. Maybe it doesn't click as well. But I do find it funny how the pieces fit together all the way down to the thread. Pretty suspicious. Pretty suspicious. So I'm not a technical person as far as these pens are concerned. I'm not the type of person that will weigh these pens to see if they are the same exact weight. That's just not my jam. That might go something along with, I'm not a math person either. I'm more of a creative type, so I'm more right-brained. But yeah, they all feel, and this is my, opinion-based without evidence, weight evidence or taking out my ruler and measuring these things. They all feel very similar. I don't find one pen to feel heavier than the other pen either. Again, somebody out there, I'm sure they've done this, has taken their scale out and measured it down to the very last gram, to see which one weighs the most. To me, they just all feel similar and they are really such a joy to write with and to click. I like clicking those pens, man. They are They're fun. So the one thing that these pens do use, now I'm going to use the Pilot as an example. All these pens do use the small Con 40 size for the converter. So it doesn't really hold a lot of ink. So some pens I actually have inked up using a cartridge where I would drain the cartridge of the ink it came with and put another ink in there. So if you have a problem with dupe pens, you know, this isn't the pen for you. And I've posted these pens on Instagram, and there have been people, you know, it's not really when I post the Majohn pen, it's when I post Jinhao. For some reason, there is a stigma against Jinhao pens. And I don't know exactly why that is. Some people get offended that Jinhao has created dupe pens. But I really do think that there is a snob factor attached to it. You know, they're like, support Pilot, support this, support that, support this brand. And I'm questioning myself. I'm like, okay, why? I don't personally know Pilot. Pilot doesn't pay my bills. And I have every right to spend my money on whatever I feel like. So if I feel like taking 20 to 35 of my dollars and spending it on a Jinhao 10 or a Majohn A1, then damn it, I'm going to do that. And if I feel like taking my hard-earned money and spending it on a Pilot pen, I'll do that too. So, you know, I think it's all according to our tastes. And I do not have extremely discerning tastes. I like a nice cheap pen, and if it writes well, yeah, I like that too. So, that's really all I have to say about the Jinhao 10 Majohn A1 versus the Pilot Vanishing Point. I hope you enjoyed this video, and stay tuned. I do have a couple other videos planned for the near future. I won't be posting videos as frequently as I used to, maybe once or twice a month. But if you can't get enough of me, go over to Instagram. I post most of the week. I post reels, I post photos of pens, and occasionally I'll even drop a 59-second quickie fountain pen review, which is where I just talk about it briefly because I like to share what pens I'm using or, you know, whatever. So, well, that's all I have to say. And that's how the ink flows.